So now we move ahead with the next chapter in biology. The chapter is absorption by roots and the processes involved. So in this chapter we are going to understand how the roots are going to absorb the water from the soil. Why do they absorb the water from the soil? How do they absorb the water, and what is the resultant of that thing, and what are the processes what are going to take place during this particular absorption taking place over there. Now, so we see that the roots are not only fixed, not only the part of the plant which is going to fix the plant into the soil, but it is also the part of the plant which is going to absorb the water as well as the dissolved minerals along with the water. So the intake of the water and the minerals to the plant takes place through the roots. So we can say the root is not only for anchoring the plant into the soil, but it is also a very important kind of organ which is going to absorb the nutrients and the water from the soil. So we see the roots not only fix the plant in the soil, giving it support, but the most important and life supporting function of the root is to absorb water and mineral nutrients from the soil and conduct them into the stem for supply to the leaves, flowers, fruits, etc. So yes, it is life supporting function for the plant. Anchoring the plant in the soil may not be that important, but absorption of the water, absorption of the nutrients from the soil is very, very important. Now let's understand that before we say, okay, pani liya, but kyun liya? Why does it need it? So what is the need? Let's understand what is the need for the water and the nutrients for the plant. Besides being constituent of protoplasm, water is needed inside the plant body for four purposes: photosynthesis, transpiration, transportation, and mechanical stiffness. We'll see one by one. What is it? The first one is photosynthesis. The plant is going to produce its own food with the help of water and carbon dioxide. So combining the carbon dioxide and water together in the presence of sunlight with the help of chlorophyll, it is going to produce glucose. So water is the ingredient required for producing glucose. Hence, first need for water is photosynthesis. So we see over here, photosynthesis, water is used in the green leaves as a raw material in the synthesis of glucose. We see the next one is transpiration. The plants are going to give away water or evaporation, a kind of evaporation. So a large amount of water is going to be lost by the aerial parts of the plant, and that loss of water is also going to help it to draw more water from the soil. So hence that process of giving out water from the aerial parts is called as transpiration. So for the transpiration to take place, it needs water. Transpiration also causes cooling effect to the plant. So that's why we say a large quantity of water gets evaporated as water vapor during transpiration for cooling in hot weather and for producing a suction force. We'll learn about the suction force much in detail in the later part of the chapter. So that is why we have over here the second thing as transpiration. The third one is transportation. Okay, transportation. See, the plants do not have a circulatory system like our body. के blood है तो सब कुछ एक जगह से दूसरी जगह पे लेके जा रहा है and heart is pumping it. So I don't require additional blood every time. It's the same blood which is being moving here and there. Plants do not have any circulatory system like that. So for it, the water which is going upwards is going to carry the nutrients with it. So that's why water will be the transport mechanism also for the whole plant. So you see, transportation of substances in the water solution from the roots upwards into the shoot, that is mineral salts, or from leaves to the parts, that is the other parts, that is plants like sugar, etc., that is going to be done with the help of water. So water is required for transportation of the material, that is minerals, from the soil to the parts of the plant, and from the parts of the plant, that is whatever glucose and all which is made, to the different parts of the plant with the help of the water. And finally, the fourth one is mechanical stiffness. You know very well, if you take a potted plant, and if you do not water the plant for say even one day, what happens to the plant? They start drooping, okay? और जैसे ही पानी डालेंगे, what happens to it? फिर से blossom हो जाते हैं. So what happened? It is the vacuole which is present in the cell of the plant that is going to increase in size and make the whole plant turgid, give it mechanical stiffness by the presence of water in the vacuole. If the water is not present, the vacuole will shrink. The shrinking of the vacuole shrinks the cell. Shrinking of the cell makes the whole plant drooping. So that's why we have water provides turgidity, fully distended condition, that is nothing but the blossom or fully distended condition, which is necessary for the stiffness of plant tissue. The stiffness of the plant tissue is going to take place only by the presence of water in the vacuoles of the plant. So accordingly, we see over here the four needs of water for the plant are photosynthesis for the production of glucose, transpiration for cooling effect, transportation for transporting the nutrients from one part of the plant to another, and finally mechanical stiffness of the plant. Mineral nutrients required by the plant are absorbed from the soil by the roots only. Some of these nutrients are absorbed as salts, nitrates, phosphates, sulfates, etc. And some simply as ions, potassium, calcium, magnesium, chlorine, etc. These elements are required as constituents of cell and cell organelles, as well as in synthesis of variety of compounds or enzymes within the cell. So apart from the water, the roots are also going to take in certain amount of nutrients or minerals from the soil, that is some simple salts like nitrates and the phosphates and sulfates, or it could be just simple elements like potassium, magnesium, calcium from the soil. So these ones are going to be taken in, which are dissolved in the water and are entering into the plant through the roots. So that's why and they are also required because they are the one which are going to form the enzyme. So the enzyme formation is going to take place as a raw material. So it is going to be such that these elements which are going to be absorbed by the roots, they will be the raw material for the enzymes to be produced. So in this way we have got the synthesis of variety of compounds and enzymes by this process. Now let's see that what makes the roots good enough that they can absorb so much amount of water. So what is that physical, or you can say that particular property in it which makes the roots the most suitable thing for making or forming the absorption of water. So now we see the properties of the roots. See, first thing is the ability of the roots to draw water from the soil is dependent on three characteristics. The first one is huge surface area. See, if you see the root will be something like this. There will be this kind of a tap root. They will be having this branched part like this over here, right? There will be some branching here. Now further to this branching, there will be sub-branching, and then on each and every the sub-branch, there will be hair-like projections which will be root hair. So you can see that it has not got only branches but sub-branches. Sub-branches का भी branches और उसके बाद भी there are hair-like projections over here which are nothing but the root hair. So this increases the surface area in contact between the soil and the root. The root and the soil, they are in contact with each other with a huge surface area because the root hair acts as that particular media which is going to increase the surface area. So that is the first thing, that is the huge surface area provided by rootlets and root hairs. These are the rootlets, the branches are the rootlets, and the top hair on top of it is the root hair. Now the second thing is the root hair contains the cell sap, the solution that has a concentration, that is a higher concentration of the solute. So cell sap concentration. See, we know that whenever anything has got more concentration of solute, then the solvent is automatically attracted to it. Like suppose I take a dry cloth and then I just place it near the wet area. What will happen? The cloth is going to absorb the water. So water always travels from higher concentration of water to lower concentration of water. So the root hair, these root hair are made in such a way that the cell sap, that is the liquid present inside, that is the solution present inside the cells of the root hair, they have got a concentration in such a way that they have got more salts in them and less water in them. Because the water content is low, the water which is there outside the root hair will be entering into the cell sap because water travels from higher concentration to lower concentration. Accordingly, you will see that this particular arrangement, that is the cell sap concentration, helps the roots to absorb more amount of water. And the third thing is that root hair has thin cell wall. The walls of the root hair are very thin. So what happens? Because the walls are thin, so it is allowing, or it will become a freely permeable membrane. So it allows the minerals, the water dissolved with, the minerals dissolved in the water and everything to enter into the root without any difficulty. So that's the three things what are making the root a perfect kind of an organ for absorption of water for the plants. So let's read this thing in detail. Characteristics of root for absorbing water. The ability of the root to draw water from the soil is dependent on three characteristics. A huge surface area provided by rootlets and the root hairs. The root hairs containing the solution cell sap at a concentration higher than that of the surrounding soil water, and root hair having thin walls. So let's see in detail. Surface area root is enormous. The surface area is enormous. You can see it is common experience that even a small garden plant such as balsam, when gently rooted from the soil, shows a thick bunch of rootlets. A small plant also, when you take it out, a grass also, if you take it out, the roots are so tremendous. They're not just one or a small string like thing for the root. There will be a bushy thing over there as the roots. So it's a bunch or a branch root which will be there under that particular plant. When carefully examined, each rootlet would show hundreds of root hairs. If all the root hairs of this plant were to be laid end to end, they would cover a length of many kilometers. So that's the main thing, that it has got such a tremendous surface area that makes it very easily possible for it to come in contact with the soil properly and absorb the water. There's a botanist Detner which worked out the 4-month-old ray plant had an aggregated root length of about 600 kilometers. The number of root hair is in it exceeded 14 billion, and their estimated total length would even exceed 10,000 kilometers. Thus, altogether, the root of any plant provides a huge surface area to facilitate absorption of water. So that is an example over here. Nothing important to learn. The second condition is cell sap, concentration of cell sap. So root hair contains cell sap of a higher concentration than that of a surrounding water. So that's the important thing. Root hair are the extensions of the outer epidermal cells of the roots. So it is this way, that is, the root hair will be like this. If this is the plant, so this is the, we'll take it this way. Then root hair are going to be extended positions like this. This will be the root hair, having the nucleus and the cell over here like this. So they are an extended part. So we can see that roots are extension to the outer cells of the root. They also contain large vacuoles filled with a sort of solution called cell sap. They have got solution in it. There is cell sap which is present inside. Therefore, usually as a concentration higher than the surrounding water. So you can see that some waters are, I missed the line. They also contain large vacuoles filled in the sort of solution which is called the cell sap. Some salts are dissolved in it and the cell sap. So some salts are dissolved in this cell sap, and therefore usually has a concentration higher than the surrounding water. So the cell sap has got less amount of water and more amount of solute as compared to what is there in the soil. The soil will have more water and less amount of solute, whereas the cell sap will have more solute and less water. This characteristics is an important requirement to draw in water from the outside. That is the occurrence of osmosis, which is described later. So this is one particular reason, that because the cell sap has got more concentration of solute, the solvent, that is water, is going to enter into the cell from outside, because it is going to travel from higher concentration to lower concentration, and this process of water entering into the plant from higher concentration to lower concentration is called as osmosis, which we are going to learn later. The third thing is the root hair are thin walled. So we have over here, like all plant cells, root hair also have two outer layers, a cell wall and a cell membrane. So cell, we know the cell of a plant has got two cell walls, so two outer coverings. One is the cell wall, which is freely permeable, and cell membrane, which is semi-permeable. So the cell wall, which is the outer covering over here, the cell wall is a thin wall. The wall is very thin, okay? It is not very thick, so there is no protection required. The cell wall normally has the tendency to protect, but here it is not for protection. Of course, some protection will be there, but it is very thin protection. And it is freely permeable. It allows all the things to come in and go out. So the cell membrane, the cell wall does not stop any particle from entering into the plant. So that's the more important thing, that it is allowing everything to come in and go out. So it allows the movement of water molecules and dissolved substances freely in and out of the cell. So That's the thing, it is allowing the movement, because if it is not allowing, then automatically it cannot take in water or any other minerals. And on the other hand, you see the cell membrane which is inside. The cell membrane is very thin and semi-permeable, which means that it allows water molecules to pass through but not the larger molecules of the dissolved salts. So what will happen? It will allow the water to enter inside but not the larger molecule of the salts to absorb inside. And the secret of the absorption water from the soil by the root lies mainly in this characteristics. It is this particular characteristics, that the cell membrane being semi-permeable, cell wall being freely permeable, it is allowing only the water to enter inside and not the larger molecules of minerals to enter inside the cell. So this is the reason, or this is the way the roots become a very, very important and also having the right characteristics to make it the best organ for absorption of water from the soil. So this is the part of the thing. I think we'll continue the next part in the next video. Okay, I saw that it's just around 20 minutes, so I can easily continue with the same video. So we continue further. So now we see the methods by which the water could enter into the plant. So it is not just one method by which the plant is going to absorb the water from the ground. There are multiple ways in which it is going to come into inside the plant. So we'll see one by one the different kinds of methods of absorption. So the first method what we are having is simple imbibition. So first one is imbibition. Now imbibition is a phenomena by which the living or dead plant cells absorb water by surface attraction. It's a simple thing. You take a stick, dip it in water, remove it, you will find that much part of the stick becomes wet. Okay, so how did it become wet? Because of imbibition, because of surface tension, that it is absorbing the water immediately. Not only a stick, you can take even a cloth. You dip the cloth in the water and you pick it out. It will be in fact the water will be rising a bit more than what you had dipped it inside. So if it is this way, that you have taken this particular container having water over here, if you dip the cloth only this much, when you remove it, it will be filled up to this much, it will be wet up to this much, because there is a surface tension which is going to increase or absorb the water a bit higher. So that is nothing but imbibition, that it is a phenomena by which the water is absorbed, or it is being moving upwards by surface attraction. So substances which are made up of cellulose or proteins are hydrophilic. They have a strong affinity towards water. Hydrophilic means strong affinity for water. They imbibe water or moisture and swell up. Okay, they are going to imbibe water and go take in moisture and swell up. This you must have seen on a very regular basis, that in the rainy season, the doors of our cupboards or even the main door of the house becomes tight. Okay, it becomes slightly tighter. It swells up. Why does it swells up? It's a simple thing, that it is absorbing the moisture from the atmosphere and swells up. So you see that they imbibe water or moisture and swell up. For example, dry seeds, wooden doors swell up on contact with water or on exposure to moist air. Due to imbibitional pressure, seed coat ruptures in case of germinating seeds. It is also an important force in the ascent of sap. Ascent of sap means, see, the cell has got the sap, that is the fluid. That fluid is going to go upwards into the upper part of the plant. So the movement of the cell solution from the roots to the upper part of the plant is called as ascent of sap. Okay, so That's why we see imbibition is the method of one of the method of ascent of sap, wherein it is basically taking place due to surface attraction. So, and the surface attraction is coming up because of the strong affinity of water by that particular living cell. So, cell always have that strong affinity towards it is basically cellulose, that is the cell wall of the wooden of that particular plant will have a strong affinity towards the water, that is they are hydrophilic. That's why imbibition takes place. So imbibition is a phenomena by which the living or dead plant cells absorb water by surface attraction. We move on to the next thing, and that is diffusion. So next one is diffusion. Now diffusion is the free movement of the molecules of the substance, solute or solvent, gas and liquid, from the region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration when the two are in direct contact. So when a fluid, a gas or a liquid is going to move from its higher concentration to its lower concentration, when they are direct contact with each other, then we call that particular process of movement of the water molecules as diffusion. It's a very easy thing to understand. Like you take a bowl of water when you're painting. Okay, you're painting and you need to clean the brush. So what do? You just put that brush into the bowl of water. What happens to the bowl of water? The water which was completely transparent gets the color of the brush what it was already there. Suppose it was red color brush. So the brush was having red color on it. So when you put it over there, the whole water becomes red in color. So what has happened? The color, that is the red color, has got diffused in the water. So that is nothing but diffusion, because the color, that is the particles, the solute particles, have got spread inside the complete water because of the difference in the concentration of water in the paint and the water. So basically what is going to happen is there is a complete mixing up of both the things when they are in direct contact with each other. The same example they are given over here is when you are taking they have taken a particular beaker. So they have taken the beaker over here, and in that beaker they have taken water and they have put some potassium permanganate over here. As soon as the potassium permanganate is put over there, you slowly, steadily you see that the purple color is going to be spread inside that particular beaker, and within a few minutes you will find that the complete water becomes purple because the whole solution has become homogeneous. And so diffusion starts in the first thing, and then the progressing diffusion takes place in more and more, and finally the diffusion is completed, making the whole solution a homogeneous mixture, a homogeneous solution of the solute and evenly distribution of the solvent. So you can see the solvent and the solute get evenly distributed, the solute gets evenly distributed inside the solvent. So this is how the diffusion takes place. So we see diffusion is the free movement of the molecules. Okay, diffusion is the free movement of the molecules of the substance, that is a solute or solvent, gas or liquid, from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration when the two are in direct contact. Okay, so diffusion takes place only when they are in direct contact. If there are no direct contact, then diffusion will not take place. That's why I told you that when you are taking the brush and the paint brush and the water, you are taking the brush directly, you are putting it inside the water, so the whole water turns of that color. So that's nothing but diffusion. So they are the example given over here, and the activity is given. So that was about diffusion. We move next to osmosis. Now this we will take up in the next video.